So here we are, the longevity blueprint, your map for 2026 on how to live a longer, healthier life. And if you'll follow along, my face will move a little bit so that you can see these slides. So here's what we're going to cover today. What are these 3 steps, the main 3 things, the main 3 takeaways, the importance of finding the right doctor for whatever your ailment may be, some hacks for dementia. If you aren't concerned about dementia, you should be. Unfortunately, the prevalence is going up, and I'll tell you why, and in some ways we can help lower that risk. Weight loss, it's January. It's the month to lose weight, right? I think the average New Year's resolution lasts 11 days is what I read. And so we're still in that window. We're going to try to give you some things to kick that 11 days to make it last longer. And then I'll show you some specifics on the supplements I take, what I'm doing, longevity journey. I'll give you a sneak peek. It's not a huge list, but we'll go over those specifically. We are recording this talk, so we'll have that for anybody who couldn't join. If you want to send a recording to somebody, we'll send it to you. But my day job is orthopedic surgery. I do 650 joint replacements a year. I'm president of the Southern Orthopedic Alliance, which is the largest orthopedic group in Alabama. And it's a lot of fun to help people walk again and get rid of their arthritis. And I do hip and knee replacement. So why am I here? Why does Sperity Health exist? Why don't I just stick to my day job? I've had some family inputs on some reasons to take a more proactive approach to healthcare. And one is this guy right here. This is my son, Wyatt, who is 10. But I'll tell you briefly, when he was 2, we came home from fellowship in Jackson, Mississippi, moved back to Mobile, and he went to school for a couple of days, and the school called and says, you got to get Wyatt checked out. Something's wrong with him. And for my first reaction was nothing wrong with my boy, and he's only been there 2 days. How do you know something's wrong with him? Well, we went to a neurologist, and the neurologist spent about 45 seconds in the room. And the neurologist, after the 45 seconds, says, something's wrong with Wyatt. And you need to go, you put on an antipsychotic at 2 years old, antipsychotic medication. He's never going to make it at regular school. And mom, dad, buckle up. It's going to be a long, hard ride. It was my worst experience in healthcare. And my wife and I, Bree, looked at each other and said, we'll beat this, whatever this is. So I dove into the science and the research, and Wyatt got diagnosed with autism. And he had some symptoms. Looking back, his eye contact was not great, as he was anxious all the time. He would get upset easily, but it was our first child. We didn't know. Long story short, we dove into diet, sleep, exercise, functional medicine, sleep therapy, speech therapy. And Wyatt takes some great supplements. He's on an elimination diet, which basically means he doesn't do any dairy. He doesn't do any gluten. And I'll tell you, when the whole gluten thing first came out, I told people multiple times, if you don't want your gluten, I'll eat your gluten. I didn't believe in it. I was wrong. Some people can't eat it. Most of us can, but some can't. And it's a silent inflammatory issue. And so we have to adapt. And in medical school, this is how much we learned about prevention or being proactive. Everything's reactionary. Insurance covers reactive medicine. Sperity Health is about being proactive. And long story short on Wyatt, he's 10. He's at regular school. He's flourishing. His IQ's 141, significantly higher than mine. And he's not on an antipsychotic medication. And he barely qualifies for the diagnosis of autism anymore. It's a huge success, and it's the biggest accomplishment of my life. It doesn't matter what I have accomplished or will accomplish. Wyatt is awesome. And we have 3 wonderful girls who are also doing wonderful. So that's the why is I believe, and I know based on the data and science coming out, you can take a proactive approach to improve your life from cancer, cardiovascular disease, and dementia. So what Sperity Health does in one sentence is we lower our members' risk of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and dementia by 50% based on data and science, not snake oil and Instagram. And I will tell you, Outlive by Peter Attia is a great book. It's a long book, 400 plus pages, written by Peter Attia as an MD. It's very, very educational. And their North Star is education and data and science. It's not trying to find some loophole to living that longer life. One other point I want to say is, how long could each of us live based on data and science in 2026? 90 plus. My goal is 95. I want to live to see great grandchildren running around, and I want to be playing with them in the yard at 95. My grandfather passed away in his late 80s the day after he mowed the grass. That's pretty great. But you can either passively hope for that, or you can proactively plan for that, like you do in a number of other areas of your life. We're going to add health to the things you can actually change and manipulate in a positive way. There's great data now that genetics used to determine 80% of your health span and how long you were going to live. We now know it's 18%. The other 82% is how you treat your body, and you get to make those choices. Here are our three main takeaways today. We're going to talk about public enemy number one. The number one killer of Americans is cardiovascular disease, narrowing of those arteries. How do we identify it? How do we prevent it? And we're going to talk about super agers. These are these people who live over 100. What do they have in common? What are they doing right? We want to steal some of those things. We're going to share those today. And then the cancer that's easiest to mitigate that nobody should be dying of. Some quick hot topics. Red light therapies out there. I'll tell you, for the face and dermatologic issues, I think there's some great data on red light. For the rest of our bodies, I'm not sure there's really any science to support it. We're going to talk about dry sauna in a minute, which is different from red light, but big believer in dry sauna because the data supports it. Mental health is a huge issue in 2026, especially in the workplace. Anxiety and depression are increasingly more common, especially with all these screens that we're on all the time. Well, guess what the first treatment is for mental health? Diet, sleep, and exercise. And we've got to start measuring your sleep to qualify it. And so we put a Whoop band on every member to measure your sleep at night and tell you how you're doing. And then, are there any medicines we can be taking to extend your health span? I'll show you. These are some news articles. Employee health is a huge challenge, and the cost of health insurance. Year over year, the increases are unsustainable. Premiums are doubling in some cases, and companies are going to go out of business because they can't afford health insurance for their employees. The number one reason for costs for health insurance is cancer. The number two is cardiovascular disease, and the current strategy is hope. We're going to change that strategy at Sperity Health, and we are focused on prevention based on data and science. I actually gave a talk yesterday to the Southeastern Conference in Birmingham, and we went over a whole lot of great things on how to live a longer, healthier life. And prevention is the word in 2026. It's no longer hope. Not to belabor the point, but just shows you 2022 and 23, what's killing Americans, and you can see there. Let's talk cardiovascular disease. What are the ways that you can live a longer, healthier life and lower your risk of cardiovascular disease? You know this. None of this is rocket science, by the way. Diet is critical. And what we'll see here is the Mediterranean diet is that picture, basically. A lot of data to support it. And another reason the Mediterranean diet is great and the people who live in these blue zones is that they walk everywhere. Fortunately, we take a car to go a block in the United States, but the more you can walk, the better. I'll show you some specifics on that. There is a fountain of youth that exists today. I'll repeat that. There's a fountain of youth today. And if you want to know what it is, it's exercise. It so clearly lowers your risk of everything, including remission of cancer rates. There are great studies on people with breast cancer, those that exercise and those that don't. And the recurrence rates are much lower in the population that exercise. There's some labs and imaging tests you can do to evaluate your risk of cardiovascular disease. And I'll show you a picture. And sleep is connected to heart health. And I will tell you, everybody on this call can have an awful night's sleep, wake up, take a shower, and have a cup of coffee and rally. But your body didn't get replenished the night before. So we've got to be measuring that sleep to see how you're doing in order to improve it. In order to improve the data point, we must measure the data point, and we do that. This is a CT coronary angiogram. I think it's the most powerful preventative imaging tool on the planet. Your heart is in slide A with the arteries on top. Slide B is the heart has been removed and just the arteries are being shown. Slide C is a picture from the angiogram. This is the dye that we want to see going down, this bright white. But do you see this discolored gray right here to the side that's narrowing this artery? This is all plaque. This is a heart attack waiting to happen. If this gets blocked, that's what is a heart attack. With the CT coronary angiogram, we get to find out in advance what your situation is. Health insurance won't pay for an angiogram until you have active chest pain. We don't want to wait for that. We want to help prevent that. And all too often, the first symptom of cardiovascular disease is sudden death. So we want to image before and learn what our status is. Imagine you getting your angiogram and seeing you have a 50% blockage and 0 symptoms. All of a sudden, that Mediterranean diet for you is no longer a suggestion. You're going to say, I've got to do it. All of a sudden, that exercise, all of a sudden, that sleep. So it's about using your information to help you make a better decision. This is my favorite test. And you actually can see regression of the plaque with healthy life choices like diet, sleep, and exercise. So it's not like it's a death sentence or it's a foregone conclusion. We have a lot of members whose parents have had issues with cardiovascular disease. We can mitigate the risk. Superagers, what do they have in common? What are they doing right? And many of you have read about them. They aren't all the healthiest people on the planet who exercise every day. Some of them have all sorts of character traits and hobbies. Some have alcohol every day. Some, all sorts of things. The number one thing they have in common is they're incredibly social. When you're social and have great friendships and around other people, your brain and the blood flow to your brain is lighting up like a Christmas tree. We want that blood flow continuing to light up because it significantly lowers the risk of dementia. So being social, and we tell people when I talk about the diet and the sleep and the exercise, people are like, listen, I can't be perfect. We tell people 5 days a week is our goal to be good. The other 2 days, you still have to enjoy life, go to the football game, drink the beer, go play golf with friends, have a bourbon. You still have to live. Very big believers in that. And it correlates to bigger brains, having better friendships and being social. And I'll show you a picture. This is called a brain age. So this is an MRI scan of 2 brains. Both of these brains are 40-year-old males. You want a low brain age, which means you're a younger brain. So on the right, this brain is healthier. The reason it's healthier is it has less atrophy or death of the brain or shrinkage of the brain. If you look on the left, do you see these black areas here? That's all holes and gaps. Look at the difference. Look at right here, all these gaps here. If you look on this other side, look, it's tighter. There's not as many black gaps. So this brain on the right is a younger person. In fact, according to the brain age, this person on the right is 38 and a half. This person on the left is 42.7. It's actually more dramatic than that. It's not directly correlating to years. It's more significant of a gap. Do you know what the number one way to keep your brain closer to the right is? Muscle mass. Muscle feeds your brain. So if you had to choose between cardiovascular exercise or building muscle with weight training, because you have a busy schedule and you only have a certain, I'll give you 90 minutes a week to exercise, Grant. Do I go run or do I go to the gym and do low weight, high rep? I'm going to tell you, I want you to do both, but if you can only pick one, I want you working on weight training because bigger muscles are a huge connection to quality of life, healthier brain. Your metabolism speeds up considerably, which helps you lose weight easier. Big muscles are great. We'll show you how to do that. It involves getting good protein intake because if you don't put the fuel in your body, it can't be processed to muscle. This is the cancer that we should not be dying of, that we should not be getting, but we are. And in America, it's increasingly much more common and being diagnosed at much more advanced stages. And the reason is this very appropriate acronym on the bottom left, the standard American diet. Our food is killing us. Processed foods and no fiber is really a problem. And we can change our diet. We can start to eat the perimeter of the grocery store. We connect all of our members with the nutritionist to come up with their own personal plan. I tell people, eat the perimeter of the grocery store, things that grow out of the ground, that don't come out of a bag. And then I said, stay away from the blue bell in the middle of the grocery store. Someone did clarify. They said, what about frozen fruits and vegetables are in the middle of the grocery? I said, well, that is true. You could eat that. So there is a disclaimer there, an asterisk. I will tell you that some other longevity type options that exist in the market include Mayo Clinic or Emory or Duke as executive physical plans. The problem is it's reactive, not proactive. In fact, I asked Duke one day about being more proactive for colon cancer because I have 3 colleagues in Mobile, Alabama with stage 4 colon cancer at 41 years old. No family history, no prior history. These people were healthy. And the reason is our diet. And I said, what would you do for a younger person who does not old enough for a colonoscopy? And the response was, well, we don't do preventative screening that's not covered by insurance. But we did read a study recently that if you take an aspirin a day, it could lower your risk by 8%. We're looking for a little bit more than 8%. So disappointing there. Sperity Health is much more about being proactive. We love doing a Cologuard on each of our members every year. It's a lot more pleasant to do a Cologuard than deal with stage 4 colon cancer. Stage 1 is you get a polyp clipped with a colonoscopy, it takes 10 minutes. Stage 4 is much, much more significant of an issue. And I want to point out too, if you get some illness or issue, finding the right doctor is critical. And I learned this is my dad, 2003, scrubbed in. And my dad, unfortunately, the healthiest guy in the world at 70 years old and got a brain tumor. And I was in charge of navigating his medical care. And it was incredibly humbling how difficult it was to find the best doctors faster. We had to go through the emergency room at Johns Hopkins in order to be seen by a neurosurgeon in under 3 months. Very sobering. What I'll tell you is there's an algorithm we use on identifying who are the best doctors for our members. And let me give you a real world example. 2 weeks ago, one of our members had a 20-year-old son who's in college in Georgia, athlete, started getting blood clots in his lungs, pulmonary emboli. He had thoracic outlet syndrome, which is an extra rib that was compressing the arteries that goes in to feed your lungs. He needed that rib removed. It's a special procedure. They called us and said, hey, we got a doctor identified. We ran it through our software and research, and that doctor had done 2 cervical rib removals in the last year. There was a doctor 5 miles away from them in Atlanta that did 102. And we cross-referenced these bullet points and got him switched. And he had a very successful surgery. So we connect people with the best doctor faster and get you in faster. Dementia. As I mentioned, we all should be scared about it. It's a problem and it's getting worse. And it's connected to our diet. It's connected to our poor sleep. It's connected to our lack of exercise. Well, how can we prevent it without belaboring the points I've already made? I mentioned the dry sauna. I'll tell you, there's some great studies out of the Nordic, Norway, Sweden, and Finland that say that your risk of dementia can go down 70% using dry sauna 4 days a week, 180 degrees for 20 minutes. And it's not cool in 180 degrees. It is hot. And the last 5 minutes is tough. And my wife and I, for our anniversary, we built one in our house with some nice clear cedar wood. And we got it for our anniversary. And what's great about it is we get in that sauna together and it's too hot for me to be on this. And so I put the phone down and I have to turn to her and ask her about her day. So it makes me a better husband. We're saving marriages at Sperity Health here, okay? But it's great. We're lowering the risk of dementia, and exercise is critical. Measuring that sleep is critical. We all know alcohol messes up your sleep, so we want to limit it if we can. Again, I drink alcohol, so I'm not telling you you need to stop. I'm just telling you it affects your sleep, and let's be aware of it and try to do 5 good days out of the week. Matthew Walker is a neuroscientist who studies all sorts of psychiatric conditions, from bipolar and schizophrenia to anxiety and depression. Anxiety and depression is increasingly common everywhere. The number one medicine for anxiety and depression, according to Matthew Walker, who studied thousands of psychiatric patients, the number one medicine is better sleep. He says 6,000 different patients he's evaluated with all these issues, not one of them was sleeping well. So if we can help your sleep, we can significantly improve a whole host of things. It makes the medicines work better. Some people don't need medicines when their sleep is working. Sleep matters. We do it for 7, 8 hours every single day. It's a huge part of our lives. Some fast, quick things you can do to lower your risk of dementia. If you have hearing loss, you need a hearing aid. If there's someone in your family that does, they need a hearing aid. The reason why, the auditory centers in your brain, when they stop getting inputs from audio, the auditory centers of your brain just kind of shrivel up. They're very close to the dementia centers, and it triggers more likely to go down the road of dementia. We want the auditory centers getting inputs from what you're hearing. We want the blood flow going to that part of your brain so that it stays lit up and excited. Hearing aids, non-negotiable. Number 2, we know to floss. The dentist has told us to floss. Why am I talking about flossing? Autopsies of people with dementia, they're finding the bacteria that causes gingivitis. Is it connected? The data is really pointing that way, that gingivitis is connected to dementia. So we're going to floss, and it's good for you, and your dentist will be happy too. So those are 2 takeaways you can immediately do. I put these sleep pods on here. Some people wake up in the middle of the night, racing thoughts, thinking about their day, can't go back to sleep, and it disrupts their sleep. Happens to me about once every 10 days or so. I put those sleep pods in my ear, and it's got like white noise or brown noise, and I'm in the womb again in 30 seconds. It's great for getting you back to sleep so that you don't have to be up. So I love the sleep pods. Those on there are Oslo, but they're all over Amazon and everything else. And please keep pouring some questions into the chat. I can't see the chat while I'm presenting, but as soon as we finish in just a minute, we're going to go through the questions because I want it. That's usually my favorite part. This is a cool scan called a PET CT of the brain. We can now do to evaluate, does your brain have early Alzheimer's 20 years before you have symptoms? Really cool. Positive scan on the bottom. That red and that yellow is what we don't want to see. So somebody asked me yesterday, do you want to know this stuff if you're going to get Alzheimer's, or know if you're going to have an increased risk of cancer or increased risk of that? 20 years ago, I would tell you, probably not. You don't want to live in fear. But in 2026, there's so many things we can do to mitigate your risk. You need to know what your risks are because we can very significantly reduce them. So we actually can lower the risk of dementia by doing diet, exercise, and sleep. You get rescanned years later, and the scan gets better. Your brain gets healthier. So it's reversible. There's so much of these issues that happen to your brain that are reversible. So we're going to help guide you do that. And letting you see your own imaging, like your heart, your brain, your lab values, your treadmill tests, the VO2 max that we love to do to measure your lung capacity. When you're hit with your own data and your own mortality, it's very clear you will act on it. But when it's theoretical risk, well, your neighbor got cancer or your neighbor got dementia, you're like, well, that won't happen to me. We want to help educate you on what your actual risk is, and then you get to decide what to do with it. Self-explanatory here, but really a take-home quote, in my opinion. Weight loss. It's January. It's the month to lose weight. Let's talk about it. This is the single most powerful weight loss tool on the planet. It's a continuous glucose monitor. It's not just for diabetics anymore. We put it on every member because we want you to know your body's relationship with sugar. I have bad news. Sugar is the devil. It tastes so good, and it is so bad. It causes cancer, cardiovascular disease, dementia, depression, everything. And we've got to stop taking in so much. The CGM on your body helps you learn about your body's relationship with sugar. And fake sugar is just as bad. People are like, what about these replacements? Monk fruit? No. Honey, it's natural? No. Splenda, Equal, none of it. Diet Mountain Dew, no. Water, black coffee, and unsweet tea are my favorite three drinks. Water, black coffee, unsweet tea. Don't tell me you can't drink black coffee. You just don't want it bad enough. But you do not want the negative consequences of too much sugar. Again, 5 days a week, let's try to lower our sugar. The other 2 days, get the tableside bananas Foster that I saw last night at the restaurant that I didn't get, but I really wanted it. But you have to still live. You have to still do these things. But guess what? Let's say you go to dinner tonight and you have a steak, 3 glasses of wine, dessert, and you finished at 10 o'clock at night. You know what you can do? Go for a 15-minute walk when you get home and you mitigate half of the damage you just did. The reason you can do that with a walk is there's 3 destinations in your body for glucose when you take in sugar. Your liver gets 15%. The other 85 is muscle or fat. Decides which one to go to. If you're walking while you're processing food, your muscles need sugar. If you go sit on the couch after Bluebell ice cream at 8:30 at night, all of it's going to fat. And you'll see on your CGM, your sugar all night's 130, and you're gaining weight while sleeping all night. You got no chance of losing weight. But if you stop eating at 7 o'clock at night, 5 days a week, and I do that 5 days a week, and you should see my house at 6:59. I'm eating everything, okay? But at 7 o'clock, you get a couple hours to process the food before you lay down, and then you're laying down and you're only focused on sleep. Your body is only trying to focus on replenishing your brain. Well, guess what? Your glucose is going to be in the mid-80s, which means while sleeping, you're burning calories and losing weight. Losing weight while sleeping. Big deal, really helps a lot. Hot take, GLP-1s. Okay, I told you my day job's orthopedics. The problem with GLP-1s is something called sarcopenia, which is muscle wasting. It takes just as much muscle as it does fat. It's great if you want to get down from a big weight to a smaller weight, but we just don't need to be on these things forever. I saw a patient Saturday. I was on call at the hospital, 60-year-old male on a GLP-1, started having nausea, dizziness, fell over, broke his hip. I put his hip back together, but you'd really rather not experience that. There are risks of these drugs. What I'd really love for you to do is focus on diet, exercise, and sleep. Have a nutritionist, have a doctor help lead the way so we don't have to sacrifice muscle because we've already discussed how important muscle is. So muscle is key to quality of life. This makes it more real. This is a thigh MRI, cross-section of your thigh. This is the bone, this white part in the middle. All this dark is muscle. And this thin white line in this 40-year-old triathlete is fat. So you can see pretty healthy person here, 40-year-old triathlete. Look at the 74-year-old sedentary man. Where did the muscle go? He's just old. There's nothing we can do. At 74, you can't have muscle. Not true. Look at the triathlete on the bottom. I'm not telling you you have to be a 70-year-old triathlete. I'm telling you, when we do your thigh MRI, where are you going to be on this spectrum between the sedentary and the triathlete? And when you see this cross-section of your thigh, it's a motivator. So we're going to help you motivate. Okay, take-home points so far. Imaging, we love a coronary angiogram. There's some great brain imaging we can do. I love a breast MRI, by the way, as well, because mammograms are good, but they're not perfect. You should still do mammograms. You should do everything. You should still get colonoscopies as scheduled. We like to add more layers of protection because the system is not built up to be as proactive as it needs to be. That's why Sperity Health exists, to lower your risk of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and dementia by up to 50% based on data and science. No one should be dying of colon cancer. We talked about the superagers and friendships, and we talked about muscle. Briefly, I'll hit these. We talked about sleep, and I'll fly through this, but inflammation is tied to poor sleep. Stress is tied to poor sleep, unhealthy foods, productivity in the workplace, culture in the workplace, falling asleep at 2 p.m. at your desk. All of it's connected to the quality of sleep you got the night before and the week before. If there's one area of medicine that has been the most neglected in the last 50 years, it is women's hormone levels. in the 80s, there were bad studies that said synthetic hormone replacement caused cancer. In 2026, we have biologic hormone replacement made for your body, and 80% of females have low hormone levels. Many people of all ages, no testosterone, no estrogen, walking zombies, feel like they just don't even know how to get out of bed. It's because their hormone levels are so low. We love to evaluate everyone's hormone levels, and it can make a huge difference when you just get those optimized back to where they're supposed to be. And women are way more affected than men. If your OB or your primary care won't do it or help you, you need to find a new one. We help people do that all the time. We do labs and evaluate it and then help you get connected to the right people to help you get it fixed. Men, if you're on Instagram, you would think, golly, every man's got low T. I need more testosterone. I need to be on testosterone supplements, $1,000 a month. No, you don't. The average percent of people who are low in testosterone is 12%. And guess what? The number one way is to increase your testosterone naturally. Diet, sleep, and exercise. Was with a gentleman yesterday that many of you on this call know had lower testosterone, went on a great diet, doubled his testosterone level naturally. We don't need it for a male exogenously. And the number one side effect when you start taking testosterone through a needle is testicle shrinkage for men. Which man is signing up for that? I don't know any. So and side effects are not being discussed on Instagram. So it's the Wild West, and you really need somebody who's got data and science at the foundation of what they're trying to do instead of other goals. Mental health, brain health, we covered. Your gut to brain axis is critical. And so much serotonin, which is your happiness neurotransmitter, is made in your gut. 90% of your happiness neurotransmitter is made in your gut. And it is grown in your microbiome to the degree that you feed the microbiome with healthy fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. It's all connected. Well, this is one of our members in Italy this week with their Whoop band on and sent it to me. We use this to measure his sleep and his activity. And we use this data to show what your personal solutions will be. I'll show you this healthy diet. This is an example of like our meal plan for the week. We give you fiber is what you need to be eating more of to lower your risk of colon cancer, to lower your cholesterol, all sorts of wins with more fiber. I don't want it through a supplement. It's okay to use a supplement, but I'd rather you get it from a natural source. Whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. I want you to eat 20 different fruits and vegetables a week. That will plant a beautiful microbiome in your gut. If you're on a GLP-1 and trying to get off of it and you're worried you're going to gain all the weight back, the reason everybody gains the weight back is their cravings and microbiome were never improved. The way to improve it and change your cravings, 20 fruits and vegetables per week. 20 different fruits and vegetables. Some could be the same, but you get my point. And I would argue many, if not all of us, are not eating enough protein, especially women. Women need at least 100 grams of protein a day. Men need at least 120 grams of protein. It's a lot of protein. You need to eat grilled chicken, steak, all sorts of protein sources. Protein powders are good, but I'd rather natural sources. But a protein shake, pick out one you can tolerate. Is it going to have some fake sugar in it? It is. But the pros outweigh the cons. I need the protein in your body for you to gain weight and gain muscle. Omega-3s are great for us. I love salmon one time a week for good omega-3s. And just so you know, on antibiotics here, antibiotics wipe out your microbiome. They kill the bad bacteria that you want to kill. They kill the good bacteria that you don't want to kill, that you've cultivated with those healthy fruits and vegetables. So if your doctor prescribes antibiotics, you should take them. But I don't want you going to your primary care saying, give me a Z-Pack. I've had a sniffle for 15 seconds. You don't want antibiotics if you don't need them. If you need them, you should take them. If your doctor prescribes anything, you should do it. I'm just telling you, personally, I don't take antibiotics every time I have a sniffle. Prebiotics and probiotics are great. The biggest superpower food is a blueberry. Add blueberries to your breakfast, and that really helps as a great antioxidant. Regular exercise, self-explanatory. It's great for mental health. It's great for everything. These are some specific products. If you want to take a picture with your cell phone of this, we'll email you our product list. All you have to do is email us and reply back to this invite for this webinar, and we'll send you our suggestions. Notice these things aren't Sperity Health's vitamin D or Sperity Health's avocado oil. We don't make these things. Our goal is to connect you with the best. We have a partnership with a company that vets every different supplement and thing you can put in your body on which is the highest quality. Costco has the best vitamin D. Avocado oil is what you should be using on the stovetop. Olive oil has a lower smoke point on the stovetop so it can denature. Olive oil is great for salads. Olive oil is great for baking, but avocado oil is for the stovetop. You can see the protein powder, creatine, 5 grams a day with your coffee. We've known it's been good for muscles for 40 years. The reason it's now on this list, it's not only muscles, it's also cognition. If you're looking for less brain fog and cognition, there's some great studies and data and science on creatine doing that. And creatine side effect profile is a little water retention when you start, but then it kind of goes to nothing. And it's been around forever. My favorite energy drink, you can see it's not a Celsius. I love green tea in the afternoon, the black coffee in the morning. That's my favorite multivitamin. This is just what we offer in a nutshell at Sperity Health. We love in-person MD to help you meet eyeball to eyeball. We supplement with telehealth throughout the year, but the foundation is an in-person visit. Year-round engagement. We're going to connect with you through our app, through telehealth, through email, with all your records and updates, so you'll be able to see how you're doing and how you can do better. We love a quarterly check-in on the KPIs for your health. You have KPIs for your business, key performance indicators. It's about time we did key performance indicators for your health. So we do that. Labs, data, science, you can see we're not connected to whatever's got the most likes. Here's what I take. I take a Crestor, that's a statin for cardiovascular disease. I don't have any cardiovascular disease on my angiogram, but you could argue that you have some before it'll appear on the angiogram. That's a very low dose, but I want to prevent it from occurring. Vitamin D is the single most important supplement you can take on the planet. I'd love for you to take it in a multivitamin, but if you only take one thing away from this talk, you need to be on vitamin D3, 2,000 units a day. Plus K is great, but it's critical. Creatine, I mentioned. We talked about fish and omega-3s. Dark chocolate is also great, just not 10 bars a day. These things on the bottom, I don't take. These are, and I would include peptides down here. It's just too early. We don't have science to say it works. We're not going to put things in your body if we're not sure it will work. Your body is not an exploratory lab, in my opinion. It should be focused on, look at all the great things we already have the data and science support. Take home point here. All of us are trying to make money and increase our bank account, but if you don't have the health to spend it, in my clinic, I see so many older people who would trade everything for a week of feeling young again. We're going to help you stay that way. This is a great way to follow up with us. That's the end of this talk. I'm going to go toward questions now. I'll leave this up here for just a few seconds if you want to join our newsletter, you scan the QR code here, self-explanatory. That's my email on the bottom, but please do join our newsletter. We send those out routinely. Booking a call with us to learn more about us is great. And there's my email at the bottom. And I'm going to try now to minimize this and then go back over here and stop sharing and go toward, okay, the Q&A section. I think we got some questions. And then David, do you want to pop on? David is our Chief Commercial Officer and may have some of the questions or any other comments. And then if anyone else has any other questions, please put them on into the chat. Great. And David, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, Grant. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Happy to be here. We've got a question here from Davis Williams. He says, if I'm relatively healthy with no symptoms, how early should I start consider undergoing a Cologuard test?
Great question. We unfortunately have some stories of people in their mid 30s with severe cases of colon cancer. It's rare, but the numbers are concerning and getting worse. I'm 41. I do a Cologuard once a year. It's not a pleasant exam, but it's a lot better than a colonoscopy, and it's a lot better than colon cancer. The negative predictive value of a Cologuard, if it's negative, it's 99% you don't have colon cancer. Can you get a false positive and freak out thinking you have colon cancer? You can, but guess what we tell you before? If it's positive, it doesn't mean you have colon cancer. It means you're going to get a colonoscopy, and we're going to double check. It can be positive because of a hemorrhoid or because of some other thing. But we talk and educate the member in advance on expectations. But Cologuard, I love Cologuard.
While we're waiting on a couple other questions, you and I have talked in the past about how Sperity Health is different than just going to your primary care physician every year.
Yeah.
Can you expand on sort of the differences between what
Yeah.
your health insurance is paying for and what we're trying to do here?
Yeah, you still need your primary care. What Sperity Health does is cancer, cardiovascular disease, and dementia. That's it. If you have the flu, you don't call us. So you still need a primary care. If you have a concierge primary care, that's great. You still need that. And they do all the things that insurance covers. And let's say we cover something with our physician. We have 3 board certified, fellowship trained primary care doctors that specialize in longevity that see all our members. I'm not the one who sees you as a member. We have 3 great primary cares who are experts. I'm just the dumb orthopedic surgeon that's real passionate about this. I created Sperity Health. All of these things I do on me. I'll tell in medical school, in pathology class, they're going over all these different ailments, and I'm a hypochondriac. Okay, I thought, oh, I have that. Oh, I have that. I thought I was pregnant for a while. Okay, I mean, I'm a hypochondriac. So it's all about, this is what I built for myself and my family, and want to share it with everybody because it's a huge issue, and you can manipulate it in a positive way, your health. And it's a huge issue for health insurance. The numbers are just going through the roof, and we've got to start preventing the disease so companies can stay in business, providing jobs and health insurance. But yeah, you still want a primary care that can be great for all of those areas of medicine. Sperity Health specifically focuses on cancer, cardiovascular disease, and dementia mitigation. Great. And I think, do you see any others on there? But we'll end right on time, 11:45. We just had a new question in the Q&A, which I didn't even know how to do. Oh, here we go. I recently heard metformin is beneficial, and it was on your no list. Metformin is great for diabetics. There was some talk about it in the longevity world on non-diabetics taking metformin, but the data lately is not coming out great for supporting on that. So a lot of people are not taking metformin. I don't take metformin. I would tell you, if you're a diabetic, you should be taking metformin if it's prescribed by your doctor. If you're not prescribed metformin, the data and science coming out on that right now is it's not a longevity panacea. That's a great question. Another question is, if my A1C is fine, do I still need a glucose monitor? We have a lot of people who are like marginally diabetic or pre-diabetic, which means you don't count as diabetic, but we don't want you to be anywhere close to that. But let's say you have a perfect A1C. If you still want to lose a little weight, the CGM and the learning your body's relationship with sugar really helps lose 5 or 6, 7 pounds, because sugar just causes weight gain. So we don't do the CGM forever. It's 1 month out of the year, and it gamifies your glucose. You may do it one time and never again, or you may say, this is great. I'm losing weight when I'm on it because it tells me what I should and shouldn't do. It encourages me to do that walk, and you may do it 1 month out of the year. So we love it. But some people go, hey, I want to do some longevity stuff, but I don't want to do everything. We build the plan for what you want. This is not like you got to do what we say. This is, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you most concerned about? And we cater the plan to you. Okay, we covered them. 11:47. Great. We had a great crowd today. Thank you so much. We got this recorded. If you want a copy of it.
We got one last one here, Grant.
Go ahead.
We got one last one here. How big a role does a nutritionist and a dietitian play?
We have people I'm in Nashville, Tennessee today. We have members going through the program right now, meeting with our nutritionist right now. And a lot of people are blissfully ignorant on what they should be doing and don't know the right questions to ask. So our nutritionist is great for starting the dialogue. And then today, 30 minutes ago, one of our members said, you know what? I just talked to a nutritionist and I eat out every day for lunch. I'm going to start bringing my lunch from home 2 days a week. And here's what I'm going to make that I can actually make. So we come up with specific concrete plans to help change that and make interval improvement. We're trying to beat yesterday. We don't have to be perfect. Okay. We're just trying to beat yesterday. And again, we're going to have some bad days where we go have some awesome barbecue rib lunch somewhere with some friends, and you should do it. And I'll be there with you if you'll invite me. But our goal is to do 5 days a week. And the nutritionist and dietitian will follow up throughout the year with you to help you do that. Thank you so much. We'll end there and look forward to talking with y'all soon.